How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another video. So I had this whole kind of, I guess, outline about how I wanted to talk about everything, but I'm gonna do this pretty, let's just say, sporadic, and whatever comes to mind, however it's gonna flow, it's gonna flow. But I do want to issue a little disclaimer because obviously you guys have seen the title of this video, and a lot of people, or whenever I post things related to my health or my blood work, people have all these different types of opinions, have tons of different things that they automatically, that come to mind whenever they hear things that I talk about. So I'm just gonna say this, even though people are going to say things that come to mind first anyways, and people are just gonna say whatever they wanna say, but your opinion is simply your opinion. It does not really honestly mean that it's necessarily true. At the end of the day, it's just an opinion. Secondly, the whole point of this video is to make sure, I guess, that this is out there for people. That when people go onto my main channel, that they see what I do and they make these assumptions about my health. They think that I'm going to have all these health problems, that I have this terrible inside, that everything within me, I'm suffering from heart disease, diabetes, all of these terrible diseases that I'm really not. I'm not gonna say I'm 100% healthy, but at the same time, I do have a very quote unquote healthy lifestyle outside of what I do for a living on YouTube. So that's the whole secondary point to all of this. And also, it's a good resource. It's a good way for me to look back on the progression, well, hopefully progression of my health long term. And to finalize this whole disclaimer, I'm gonna say that comments and questions are always welcomed. Negativity, assumptions, and narrow-minded statements are not welcomed, and they will get you banned from the channel. If you wanna come in with an open mind, by all means do so. But I've gotten a lot of negativity lately, so when I need to block people, I do. So now that that's out of the way, I can let you guys know that I did get my latest blood results back. I have gotten my blood checked 3 times over the past, I wanna say 6 months, 8 months. And we'll start with where things started. I guess, we'll start with where things started. Okay, Eric, okay, so how do I wanna do this? Way to go, Eric, way to go. So here we go. Back in October, everything was pretty much fine. BUN is normal, glucose is normal. This is actually when I was at the peak of my strength, when I pulled 455 for, I believe I got it for a triple, double, I don't know. But I was really feeling lifting. I was feeling great. I was doing great and everything. Back then, my thyroid dosage, I was pretty much taking the same thing that I'm taking now. Diet stayed the same, everything pretty much stayed the same. Cardio was actually elevated a little bit more. I was riding probably about 4 or 5 times a week, and weight training still the same. So that was everything I was doing. HDL back then was 38. These are the things that are flagged according to the reference ranges, and just keep in mind that these are reference ranges and they're very general, so that's something to take notice of. HDL cholesterol was low. Reference range for that, it was 1 point below the reference range, and LDL cholesterol was a little bit high. That was 2 points above the reference range. Apart from that, triglycerides were fine. Testosterone levels were high. Free testosterone was a little bit high. Now, this is the thing that I actually cared a lot about and still really do, is my thyroid stuff. So my free T4 levels were actually a little bit low, but they were low by like 0.1, again, according to the reference ranges. T3 levels back then, 2.8, reference ranges were 2.0 to 4.4. Insulin was normal. These are all done fasted. So just to reiterate, back then I was feeling really good and was really strong back then, or at least I felt I was strong. And I saw my progression in the gym with powerlifting, with everything, to be on an upward trend, but my temperature back then was actually lower than it was now. So now we move forward to December, and I actually was really frustrated because my temperature wasn't increasing. I increased the dosage of my T3 to 50 micrograms and kept my T4 dosage the same. So I wanted to see if my body temperature would increase. I wanted to see if my thyroid would kick into gear, and I wanted to see if it would finally start working. And got my thyroid levels checked, and my TSH was 1.4. T4 levels were 4.8. T3 was at 3.6, which is obviously to be expected because I was taking more T3, and my free T4 levels finally got into the normal ranges at 0.89. And here we are at the current day. So now that we have all the results back, everything is again fine. BUN to creatinine ratio is a little bit high. I'm used to actually seeing my BUN levels high, so for the longest time I had them as normal, which is kind of weird. But I have a pretty higher protein diet now. Pretty certain that's why it's a little bit higher now, but I'm not too worried about it. Apart from that, sodium, potassium, chloride, everything within the CMP levels is fine. Now we move into the cholesterol numbers and everything. Everything's the same in terms of my HDL and LDL cholesterol. My HDL cholesterol went up 1 point from last time. It's actually right at 39, so technically it should be fine. LDL cholesterol is at 107, so a few points higher than it was. Triglycerides, again, are fine. Cholesterol is fine. Total cholesterol is fine. My kidney and liver enzymes are fine. Now we move into white blood cell count. All of that is normal. Testosterone is still high. Free testosterone is still high. And that is honestly the biggest thing for me that's discouraging, because even if like my testosterone levels are actually higher than the normal reference ranges, I should still be making gains. And I still cannot wrap my head around it as to why things are not moving in the right direction, even if I was eating in a calorie deficit, which I know that I'm not, because again, I've gained weight. Pretty substantial amount of weight, especially over the past few months. I should be getting stronger, not staying the same. T4 levels now, free T4 levels are in the normal ranges at 0.92, which is great. DHEA sulfate, which is essentially my adrenal function or how my adrenals are working. Also, cortisol is normal, which is really, really weird because I'm used to seeing my cortisol levels high and they're normal now, which is good. I like that. That's your stress hormone, and that signifies to me that my stress is good, as it should be. I have a very, I wouldn't say I have a sedentary lifestyle, but guys, I wake up, edit videos, do my social media stuff, go to the gym, try to put in as much work as I can, but I'm not really stressed in terms of like my body and my thinking and everything. I try to minimize stress in my life in any way, shape, or form. And so that signifies to me that I'm not overworking my body. So cortisol is fine. TSH is 1.8, which is fine to me. TSH really, the majority of endocrinologists actually test TSH first and base your thyroid function on TSH, which is actually not at all what should be going on. So if that's the case for you guys, I know a lot of you deal with thyroid stuff, so get other levels checked too. So that's fine. My insulin was actually low, and that was actually surprising to me, but this is again 0.1 outside of the reference ranges, which is really not anything I should be worried about. My T3 levels came back as 2.6, which is low, which is again a drop from what they were previously. It was like 3.6 from the last one in December. So they dropped from 3.6 to 2.6 on the lower end of normal, but normal within the reference ranges. So that's that, everybody. Where do we go from here? As I mentioned earlier, I powerlift now more than I ride bikes. I feel like if I was riding my bike now and I was still doing hours upon hours of cardio a day, I would probably still be suffering from cortisol issues. I would still be suffering from having a really, I'm used to seeing my white blood cell count super low. I'm used to seeing my kidney and liver enzymes like all over the place. I'm used to seeing all these different types of health problems, but I don't necessarily have those anymore. I don't really deal with those. I still deal with my thyroid being pretty suboptimal. I feel like my thyroid right now is still like that car that's trying to like get up the slope. It's trying to like get to where it should be, but it's not getting there. And that's the most frustrating part for me. As I mentioned earlier, I'm still struggling a lot in terms of progression, but my progression shouldn't be digression, like especially with the fact that my testosterone levels are actually above normal. I don't necessarily know if it's a programming thing. Things could be better. I wish my thyroid would get a little bit better. I wish that my body temperature would be a little bit better, would increase. Speaking of which, it's the middle of the day. I took it yesterday, and I've been usually taking it in the morning, and it's been around 97 and 97.2. In the middle of the day, I took it yesterday, and it was like 96.2, which is really, really low. 96.5. In terms of a medication solution, I'm not really sure if that's going to even do anything right now. As I mentioned to you guys in past videos, I've tried increasing my dosage of T3 from 25 to 50 micrograms and felt like that was having a pretty catabolic effect on my strength levels, so I wasn't really wanting to continue with that. But I would feel like even again, if I was eating in a calorie deficit, I still would be making gains every single week. So what should the course of action be from here? What should I be doing? Honestly, guys, I'm a little bit lost right now, because a part of me wants to just go, okay, well, my testosterone levels are where they should be. They're above optimal. My thyroid levels are not necessarily where they should be. They're a little bit suboptimal. So do I just go for just back to calorie mode and just cram in as much calories as I can, even if I'm doing challenges regularly? Or do I take things like a slower approach, because I've obviously put on weight, and you can know, and you can recognize that, you can see that, And it's kind of a slippery slope because I don't really know what to do. And I've had to take a step back a few times and kind of examine the situation and what I would recommend to somebody that was in my shoes, and what I do recommend to people that do reach out to me, that do ask me for advice. And I always recommend to people to really think about how seriously you're taking something. And I'm serious about this. I want to do a powerlifting meet this year, and I really want to be stronger. I want to get stronger. And so if somebody told me that, I would tell them that, and it's always good to, especially with when you do what I do for a living, you kind of have to have a good understanding of your own health and everything. But I know that every single day what I eat is pretty much what you would consider healthy. I'm not going to go in for my next blood results and have triglyceride levels that are freaking through the roof. My cholesterol is not going to be crazy out of this world. Alrighty people, so here's the thing. A little bit earlier I tried to do a little, I guess, elaborating on my blood work and how I just am interpreting everything. And it turned into a giant rant, and it turned into me talking about my daily meals and how I structure everything and how many calories I'm eating per day and how much rest I'm getting per day and all this stuff. And honestly, the bottom line is, guys, I have kept everything the same for the past year. Nothing has changed. I'd say probably the past few years, nothing has changed. And I'm really getting, I think, too warped up and fixated on the fact that my deadlift has gone down, and I'm really just kind of fixated on that right now, and I need to be thinking bigger picture. I need to be thinking in terms of my health as a whole. And in terms of my health as a whole, my health as a whole is pretty damn good. I mean, I actually wouldn't say pretty damn good. My thyroid is suboptimal and working suboptimally. But overall, my triglycerides are good. Sure, my cholesterol's on the border of being normal and slightly not too good, but really not too concerned about that. People are gonna say a lot of things about my blood and my blood work and everything. The bottom line is I don't really take opinions very seriously. I value what people have to say, and but that's not really what this is all about. I just found earlier that I had another day where today I just got back from the gym, and again, another really shitty deadlift day, and yeah, it's just frustrating but that's again only one aspect of everything. As a whole, I just feel like my thyroid is the last thing that I really need to get solved and to fix, and the medication really, I don't feel like is, at least what I'm taking right now, is not helping me. So we'll see how the doctor's appointment that I have tomorrow goes. Yeah, I just want to feel the way everyone should feel. I just wanted to put this out there for everybody, and I could go into everything and calories and sleep and programming and all of that, but honestly, it's just gonna make this video super long, and it can just go down a huge rabbit hole, and I'm just not really in the mood or state to do that right now. So I figured I would just put out something that's basic, and there it is. I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch, and I appreciate everyone that's genuinely supported me over the years and that continues to support me. Thanks for watching the video, everybody. I'll see you next time.